Hi everyone. Having watched the Community Shield and also the latest round, following the latest round of preseason friendlies, I've decided to do some tweaks to my FPL team, which effectively has led me to my penultimate draft for the 23-24 season. So before we get into it, just a reminder of where my team was at with respect to the squad that I had. So I'll just go there first of all before we start tinkering with the team. So I had Stealing goal, Estupinan, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Zinchenko for my back line, and then that powerful front seven of Saka, Bruno, Rashford, Mitoma, and Mbeumo, and then Watkins and Haaland, who made up my front attack. And then the bench was Areola, Baldock, Bell, and Mubama. And I actually brought Watkins into my team before the Jesus injury announcement. So in terms of the formation, I think I'm still going to go for 3-5-2, but there are a significant number of changes I need to make to this team. So let's get straight into it and go to my transfer page. So as tempting as it is to have Steele and those generous run of games for Brighton for the first three, Luton, Wolves, and West Ham, the reality is that it's going to get rather sticky and tricky for Brighton after that. You got Newcastle, United, got Liverpool, and Man City not long afterwards. So I think I'm in a position whereby double Brighton defence doesn't make sense. So I need to factor that in. Zinchenko um, appears to be a fitness issue, and I don't want players who are in that situation before the start of game week 1, so he goes out. And as much as I like Trent Alexander-Arnold, I've decided there's another Liverpool player I'm going to go for. So with a bit of jiggery pokery, he goes. And when it comes to Luton, I've got Bell in the team, but there is another Luton player I'm looking to get instead, who I think is being overlooked to some degree as well. Not that you're going to start any Luton players by default in your own FPL team. So out goes Bell. In terms of the midfield, yeah, yellow flag for Mbeumo doesn't help. So out he goes as well. And I'm going to get rid of Watkins, not because I don't like him, but it's just to accommodate some other changes. And to be honest with you, having Watkins in my team adds a lot of balance. So I kind of wish that I'm not getting rid of him, but it will facilitate the changes that I'm about to have. So just a reminder that on my previous draft, I mentioned that because of this new referee guidelines, the risk of losing a clean sheet late on is going to be a problem. And we saw it in the Community Shield that obviously due to reasons that were completely valid, they had extra injury time. And then deep into injury time, Arsenal scored the goal and then they went on to win on penalties. And I saw someone mention on social media that, of course, there were some anomalous times in the World Cup with late injury time, but they were trying to say that that's an exception to the rule. Whether it's an exception to the rule or not, it remains to be seen what will happen in the Premier League. But the reality is that the players who have high X-mins and their attackers, they're more likely to be in with a chance of having more chances on goal. So that's something that is clearly an issue. And also, players that are defenders and who are going to be on the pitch the longest, high X-mins players like your centre backs and your goalkeepers, that are effectively sitting ducks. And I've said that, and I think that may be a concern. And we might have a situation whereby the referee guidelines actually get revised at some point where, let's say, they're getting on average 100 min, 120 minute between that, it just becomes ridiculous. Managers complain, and then maybe the guidance might change. But I'm going with the assumption that we're going to have World Cup style injury time, as we've seen in the Community Shield. So I'm going with that example. So let's get straight into it. There was a call that I was very tempted to make in this squad, and it was to get Harry Kane in. And I can get him in with this draft update as well. And the only issue is we still haven't got that final clarification from the Spurs board to say that Harry Kane is definitely not leaving Spurs this season. I personally think he isn't leaving, and I think he will be a Tottenham player come game week 1, even though, as is reported, he could be worth up to 100 million for Bayern, the bid that they could potentially make. But I just think he's going to stay, and then whatever happens with his contract situation, who knows? But because of that small question mark of not him being unsettled, he scored 4 goals after all on Sunday, so it was a great way of him silencing those that might have questioned his own motivations. I want to get him in, but then formation-wise, it could cause me issues. So the player I do want to get in is actually Mohamed Salah for game week 1, and I feel that with him, if there's one, I asked myself one simple question: which one Liverpool player, if you're able to do so, well, get into your FPL team, who would it be? And it's Mohamed Salah. Yeah, I like Trent, but then just I feel that because of the refereeing rule changes, even he's a sitting duck to some degree. Not that we want Trent for the clean sheets. We've got him for his out of position potential. We've got him for his attacking returns and those amazing passes. But I want Mohamed Salah, and this is something that I've really trying to get it out of my mind. But I want Mohamed Salah. And just look at that front. Well, I say front 7. Look at the front 6 right now. You've got Saka, Salah, Mitoma, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, and Haaland. And I feel that all of those players are very heavy on the X-Mins. And like I said at the start of this video, that the players who have high X-Mins and their attackers, the new refereeing guidelines could be a potential plus for them. So that is my midfield as it stands. And to facilitate this, I need a cheap forward. And by the way, anyone who's got Watkins in your own respective teams, I think he's going to be having an amazing season. He's on the right trajectory with Unai Emery. In fact, you look at his previous seasons as well in the Premier League, he's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if you're able to accommodate him, do not worry. I think he's just absolutely amazing. But there is a player that I am getting in at this moment in time, and it's actually a Brighton player. I'm going to triple up on Brighton, but not in the way I had intended. And 5.5 million, there he is, João Pedro. Now, he's the one player from this front 7 where the X-Mins could be an issue, but I want an exciting player as well. I want someone who, is he a differential? I think I mentioned him on a stream. Okay, 7.2%. So yeah, you could call him a differential in some respects. I feel that with Pedro, there is a lot of potential there with him. Very underpriced at 5.5 million. Of course, there's a risk with his minutes. You've got Danny Welbeck, you've got Evan Ferguson, and then also Enciso to some degree as well. But I just feel that if there's one player that I'm willing to get from a cheap budget forward, with the peace of mind that the rest of my midfield and attack will have a healthy number of minutes, then João Pedro fits the bill. And you just look at it, sort it by percentage, like you can see on screen there. Edouard maybe, and then with Fulham you've got Vincius and Raul, with Mitrovic still there. I was hoping Nketiah would start for Arsenal, but he isn't, and you've got other players who are fighting for that jersey at Arsenal as that front man. But yeah, it has to be João Pedro. So that leaves me with £18 million to fill in 3 spots. Now, my next move is a bit controversial because this player hasn't even joined the club that he's intended to go to. But hear me out on this one. 4.0 million goalkeeper. Now, we know how that can finish off, as we saw at the start of last season with the Iverson Ward situation. But I'm actually going for Turner. who was sitting on the Arsenal bench as they won the Community Shield. So he's linked with a move to Nottingham Forest, and the problem is that he may not even be like a long-term starter for them. But then I saw a tweet from Fabrizio Romano that actually said that Forest are actually going to go for either Turner or Henderson. So if this move gets solidified, I'm going under the impression that they won't get Henderson based on that reliable source. So Areola, we don't know if he's going to be a 4.0 starting goalkeeper, but then you look at Fabianski, who started a recent friendly, didn't do so well. Perhaps that's boosted Areola's chances. So if there are two 4.0 starting goalkeepers in the game, you'd hope it'd be these two. But yeah, let's see what happens. Now that's leaving me with 14 million with 3 players to fill. So I am going to go to another Luton player. And I feel that with this player, he's being overlooked. We're just by default going with Bell. But I'm going for Kabore, who I believe was playing in France last season on loan from Manchester City. So he's got some caliber there. And I feel that hopefully he should be a regular starter for Luton as well. The difference is that with Bell and Kabore, I think Kabore's got slightly more attacking prowess. I'd have no intention to really start Kabore, if I'm being perfectly honest. You look at the fixtures, Brighton, Chelsea, yeah, maybe against West Ham, perhaps, maybe against Fulham. No, not Fulham, Wolves. Yeah, there aren't many matches I'd want to start him, but happy to have him as a bench option. And then that leaves me with my remaining 2 places. So I'm going for another 4 point. Well, hold on. I've got 2 5.0 places, I beg your pardon. So I'm actually, I know I was talking about like defenders, in particular centre backs, and how it's going to be problematic for them this season, but I need an Arsenal defender, to be perfectly frank. And the other situation was I could start Ramsdale in goal, but then if they have Raya joining, that could be problematic. So I'm going for Gabriel as my other Arsenal defender. White, unfortunately, is 0.5 too expensive. Timber, is he going to start regularly? I have no idea yet. So Gabriel is a default. As much as I don't want a sitting duck centre back, those fixtures are too generous. And then lastly, I've got one more spot to fill, and I'm going for a Manchester City player, 0.5 short of John Stones. I thought long and hard about it. Which Man City player do I want to get? And the options were fairly limited. Ake's yellow flag, but it's really a Kanji, to be honest with you. So there we go. I've maxed out my budget, and I'm going to show how this looks like on my team screen. So this is my actual penultimate FPL draft. So let's just change the team up, and then we'll show how it looks like. And also there's something else I'm going to do, and I've been doing it for all of my drafts actually. It's using the expected stats tool from Draft Town to see what the projected points are. So I believe my last draft I was projected to get 61 points. So we'll see where we're sat at that tool. So let's just switch this about. Mubama still there. Yeah, we'll have Baldock as my sub 1. So saving the team. Let's do the famous super zoom in, and then we'll put it through the expected stats tool as well. So there we go. I've got a back line of Turner, subject to him moving to Forest and starting for them, which he should. Back 3 defence of Estupinan, Gabriel, and Akanji. So I feel that kind of checks all the boxes there. And then coming on to the front 7, Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, Mitoma, Salah, very heavy on X-Mins, very heavy on potential and prowess as well. So fairly happy with that. Haaland, Captain Obvious, and João Pedro as my attacking differential there. And then onto the bench, Areola, sub 1, Baldock. Oh, sub goalkeeper, Bulldog sub 1, Mubama sub 2, Kabore sub 3. Now, all of this is all well and good, but let's get straight into the expected stats tool, which I'm showing right there. So 61.9 points is what I was projected for Draft Hand for the previous draft, which was also a 352. And I really hope that the points don't massively go down here, but here goes. So out goes Steele, and in comes Turner. If I can find him. Let's go to he's an Arsenal player right now. I think his stats will be like 0 at the moment, but let's roll with it. Okay, he's projected to get 1 point. That's fine. Still got a Stupinan in my team, so there's no change there. And I've got, well, haven't got Trent anymore, so out goes Trent. Go to Manchester City. Go to defenders. There he is. Akanji comes in. Zinchenko goes out. And Gabriel for Arsenal comes in. There he is. Just look at that tally there. 61.9 was the projected number of points. So out goes Mbeumo. In comes Mohamed Salah. Just pick midfielders, of course. And increase the price cap. There he is, Mohamed Salah. So 61 points right now. That's quite interesting. But the moment of truth is really the Watkins situation, because I get rid of Watkins and I get in Brighton's João Pedro. So unselect all these, get the forwards in. And I've got a feeling that he's not expected to get a healthy number of minutes just yet due to the data that they may have in here. There he is, 2.2 points. So Ariel on the bench, Bulldog is there. Let's get rid of Bell. That's Kabore. The points aren't really going to get affected by those on the bench, but I'm just going to update it for the sake of it. Let's get the defenders in as well. Let's get rid of Brighton. And we want to go to the 4.0s. There they are. There he is. And then I've still got Mubama. So yeah, points-wise, let's just round it up to 60 points. It's saying I'm losing 1 point essentially with that change, but I'm fairly content with this team right now. I honestly feel that 352 is the way forward. I'll put a link in the description below for anyone else who wants to try this expected FPL points tool out as well. So yeah, the points have dropped by 1 to 2 points there, and I'm actually fairly content considering that I've gone for a very unbalanced team now. Well, I say very unbalanced with Mohamed Salah, that you'd expect somewhat of a drop off. The question is that, am I able to justify this? So how I see it, I've got triple Brighton, I've got double Manchester United, I've got double Man City, I've got double Arsenal. So I feel that I'm still covering the right boxes here as well. The question is this going to be sustainable for game week 1 and the weeks ahead? And I want to build my team in such a way that it's not such a long haul team. I'm happy to have an option where I can potentially get rid of my squad as it is and wildcard after the first international break. So there's no issue really on that front. I'm not building a team for the entirety of the first half of the season. So with the squad as it is right now, and I'll just do a super zoom in just to show you the points here as well. 59.7 points. Surprisingly, I thought I was quite template heavy on the players that I've picked, but it seems as if that the average ownership is only 28%. So Yeah, that's a surprise. I know the expected points for João Pedro don't look great, and also for Turner because he hasn't actually moved to Nottingham Forest as of yet. But are there any quick tweaks I can do just to bump the points up for my own peace of mind? Um, yeah, I mean, Mubama, Kabora, yeah, none of those players are going to bump the points up. Perhaps if I bought on Baldock for Pedro, but I'm not going to do that. 3-5-2 is the way forward, like I've said. I'm content with this team. And like I've said, this is my penultimate draft ahead of game week 1. There'll be a final draft, of course, on Friday, but I need to see what other transfer news comes in and also fitness related issues as well. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this draft, and if you can come up with a better draft that has a higher number of xFPL points. And as always, if you can like, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best. Thank you very much. Bye.